Hello everyone, I'm Robin, and in this video we're going to talk about being fired. Okay, there are many expressions in English that express being fired. Of course, when you're fired from a job, that's a terrible thing because you lost your job. And as I said, there are lots of expressions to express being fired. Let's take a look. Now, I'm going to use the sentence he was. Of course, it could work for men, he, or women, she, he was, she was. He was fired, all right? That's the most common way to express being fired. He was fired, but there are some other ones. And this is the first group. There will be a second group later. Let's take a look. He was fired. He was laid off. Okay, now fired is probably your fault, the employee fault. But if you're laid off, that's the company fault. The company has some financial difficulties, so they have to lay off many workers. He was dismissed. Okay, he was dismissed. This is kind of a polite way to say he's fired. He was let go. Okay. Fired is a very terrible word. He was fired. He was let go means the same thing, but it's not as powerful. So it's a little nicer to say he was let go. He was released. He was released. Again, kind of a more polite way to say he was fired. And the last one, he was terminated. He was terminated. This is actually very strong. Terminated. Cut. He was terminated. All right, this is the first group, but there's more. Let's move on. Here's the second group of expressions. Remember, they all mean the same thing, to be fired. All right, so there's lots of slang and idioms to look at. The first one, dumped. He was dumped. Again, it just means fired. He was sacked. He was sacked. He was canned. He was canned. He was axed. He was axed. Now, an axe is like an axe to cut a tree. So he was axed. Similar, he was cut. Now, the last two idioms, also very common. He was given the boot. The boot. He was given the boot. So he was kicked out of the company. And he was given the pink slip. Okay. Now, a long time ago, when someone was fired from a company, they were given a form to say you're fired. And the color of this form was usually pink. Okay. So this expression, given the pink slip, that means he's fired. These days, they don't use that form anymore, but they still use the expression or the idiom here to mean that person is fired. All right. So these are also all very common and very good to use to talk about when someone is fired. All right. So again, being fired is a terrible thing, but in English, we have a lot of expressions that mean you are fired. All right. So I hope you learned a few more today. That's it, and I'll see you next time.